Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of The Probe. Every weekend, nearly all of us attend funerals. We weep and wail as we bury friends, brothers, fathers and mothers. People we love deeply and care about. But we care very little about what kills us. Because when sleepy drivers slam the brakes on the dark, sleepy, bumpy roads and the tires stretch but the vehicle fails to stop, we are left to not only count the wounded, but also the lives that unfortunately perish in the carnage. So I ask tonight, why aren't we shocked that we are sad and grieving and wailing and crushed, but we are not angry enough as a people? We are not pissed off at the terrible, ugly, despicable, and insulting nature of the roads in our country. Roads that have become the conveyor belts to people's graves. Yet some strange minds thought of driving fast enough and required sirens to drive on these conveyor belts of death we call roads. And these minds are supposed to be those we follow? Permit me to ask. Yes, they may have apologized for not harboring such thoughts, but also thinking about making it law. But the reality is they are already using these sirens and driving fast and recklessly past all of us and killing us in the process on the roads they are supposed to be fixing. Interestingly, the road in front of Ghana's parliament and the Ghana International Conference Center, and of course, the site of the National Cathedral, is pitch dark. More disheartening is the fact that those in charge travel abroad and they see how it is done elsewhere. But why is it so difficult to implement same here with the same available resources? Rather, we are investing in the best cars to withstand the deplorable nature of the roads we have. If you won't fix the roads, at least fix the lights so we can see the danger ahead, since our lives while on these roads are in our own hands. Really, whose logic is this? What did we do wrong as a people? Who did we wrong? Why must I be pardoned, or in fact, why must I be always cautious when I'm driving on these roads? Not because I'm driving carelessly, but because of somebody's, negligence. Really, pardon my righteous indignation this evening, but the Akans have a saying, "Inteso kokwo ewo bi enum, enso yejai na yate fita." Today, let's speak truth to power. It's about time that as a people we get angry enough for those we've put in power and in authority to know that we will not take anything or any excuses anymore. What ought to be done must be done. Before you say that I may be speaking with no figures or no data, we have the National Road Safety Authority, at least. They are the ones doing the proper research and giving us the data that we need. Let's get into it. Look at the number of road traffic crashes we've had from January to June 2024, 6,653 reported crashes. That's the situation we've recorded over the period. Now let's look at the road traffic crashes, a breakdown of it versus what we saw in 2023 and what we've seen in 2024. 2024, we've seen a 13% increment, 1,237, the number of crashes we've recorded. As against 2023, the same period, 1,095. That's what it looks like in terms of road traffic crashes. Now, let me give you a breakdown also of pedestrian knockdowns. It's not just vehicles, but people are being knocked down as well. And this is what it looks like. In 2023, we have 1,212. In 2024, 1,219. That's a half year, January to June 2024. Now, we go forward to the regional breakdown of crashes between the period under review, January to June 2024. Greater Accra region is still leading. It's 2,054 crashes that we've recorded. The Ashanti region follows closely, 1,943. Then Eastern region, 901. The Central region, 482. The Western region, 397. Then the Volta region, 260. Western North, 145. The Bono East, 98. Bono, 92. And Ahafo, 58. That's the breakdown of road crashes. Now, we want to look at the deaths, which is the most important part for me. I don't know about you. But look at the number of lives that we've lost on our roads. The Ashanti this time is leading 325 persons lost their lives on the roads in the Ashanti region. The Eastern region follows with 246 persons. And these are not just figures. These are human lives I'm talking about. In the Eastern region, 246 lives have been lost. Greater Accra region, 204. And this is between January to June 2024. This is just January to June alone. 325 lives in the Ashanti region, at least. They were lost in the Ashanti region, on the roads in the Ashanti region. These are road traffic crashes. We go to the Greater Accra region, 204 persons have lost their lives. Western region, 100. Central region, 82 lives have been lost between January and June. In the Bunu East region, 41. Volta region, 41. And the Western North, 41. All three of them, it appears that 41 lives have been lost in each of these three regions. In the Upper East region, we have 35, and then the Bono region, 32. These are figures I'm talking about. These are human lives that we've lost over that period. Now, let's look at non-functional traffic signals and street lights. That's the situation we are faced with. No street lights, no traffic lights malfunctioning. If it is there, is malfunctioning. And then, the worst of it, there are no road markings on the road. So the road is already dark, yet when you have your car light to even, give you some form of reflection when it falls on the road markings, is also non-existent on most of our roads. So this is what the situational report by the National Road Safety Authority, this is data, the last data that they've provided was for 2021. We'll attempt to give you what the situation is in 2024 by going straight onto the roads and letting you know what the situation is. 75 non-functional traffic lights across the country. 75. That's the data that they have as of 2021. Hopefully, they can give us some current data on the situation, because definitely it must have deteriorated. It must have gone beyond 75 as we speak. So that's the situational report I can give you. Also, a breakdown, at least, the regions that have street lights non-functioning. It's just 4 main regions, and it's the Greater Accra region leading with 48%, the Ashanti region 19%, the Central region 9%, and the Western region 7%. So this is the situation, at least the key, regions that we know. The Greater Accra region being the capital, the Ashanti region, the Central region, and the Western region. These are the key areas. And interestingly, also, these are the regions that decide the elections. Yet, most of the things don't work in these regions. So that's the situation. And we have comments by the National Road Safety Authority. That's as far back as 2021. And they say that the NRSA has been dissatisfied with the general state of traffic signals on some of our urban road networks across the country. This condition, coupled with the state of streetlights, increases the vulnerability of road users, especially pedestrians, to road traffic crashes and the associated injuries and deaths. Because most of us, using the roads at night, we may not be wearing reflectors. We may not be wearing the appropriate gear. So there is no street lights, the driver cannot see you. We end up being knocked down. That is the comment by the National Road Safety Authority, at least as part of the data that they put out back then in 2021. So before you say that I didn't back it with figures, I've given you data to back what we're saying tonight. Now that we know that numbers don't lie, let's sit under this twilight of deep thoughts and reflect intensely on the matters that affect our mutual longevity, because no one needs to die again on our dark, bumpy, and dangerous road. I'll let you in on my drive through some principal streets of Accra together with the production team. We took a quick drive on some principal streets in Accra, and you would see what we found. Then I'll take you to my colleague, Michael Ashali. He's also on the motorway tonight, giving us the state of affairs. Then I'll take you to the Ashanti region. At least these are the two key regions that the National Road Safety talks about. My colleague Nana Boachi Dankwa Yadom is on standby to also give us the situation in Kumasi. Maybe it's become better. Then we'll get some quick comment also from Dr. William Aka. He's with the Building and Road Research Institute, that's the BRI of the CSRL, will join us with some comments on this situation. And then thankfully, Kwame Kodue Tuahene also will join us via Zoom. He's the Director of Regulations, Inspections and Compliance with the National Road Safety Authority. And for the third time running, we've always wanted to get some comments from the Urban Roads and the Ministry of Roads and Highways, still not available for any comments on this. Do stay with me. We are live on the Joy News channel on Joy 99.7 FM, myjoyonline.com. This is The Probe, and tonight we are focusing on Ghana's dangerous roads, what it would actually take for us to get traffic lights, street lights and road markings. What exactly will it take for them to work? Please do stay with me. My colleague and I, that's my producer, Sarah Mabla D'Souza, and myself, decided that it's a Saturday night, yet we have concerns about traffic lights, road markings, and street lights. So my colleague, Yusuf, even though he's been working the whole day, obliged to go with us, together with Abu, our driver, to go with us, drive around town on a Saturday night to take a look at what exactly the situation is and paint a better picture of how it is like to struggle in the nights when it comes to driving. I wear spectacles, so you can understand the difficulties and the challenges sometimes it takes for you to drive at night, even though we work late at night. The situation is that of sort of a grim situation. We started from the Atinka village. Right down that intersection, you realize that the traffic lights there almost never works. And this one behind me, where it's supposed to be more like a T-junction, this road, when you go up, takes you to the New Town area. This one goes down all the way to Circle. Straight behind me goes to Joy FM. And those of you who know it know that this is the Sadisco traffic light. It is almost a blessing for it to ever work. It never works. The same response we get all the time is, it's a technical challenge that they are trying to fix. That's the response you always get. So let's start off from this particular intersection and take a drive through part of Accra, at least the most popular part of Accra, and let's understand what exactly the situation is. There are either no road markings, there are no street lights, or the traffic lights are always non-functioning. At least, thankfully, where I'm starting from, which is the home of multimedia, you can see that the lights are working, at least the street lights are working. And it's well lit. It's a well lit road, I should say, thankfully. How come there are no road markings on these particular roads? What exactly are your challenges when you're driving through most parts of Accra? It will be interesting to hear your story. But first, let's hear my story with a drive with a team on a Saturday night in Accra, and we'll tell you how it looks like. So for our radio audience, at least what you heard me start with was from the Kokomlemle Sadisco traffic light. We went through to the ATTC and through to Paloma, and that drive all the way from the Sadisco traffic light all the way to the ATTC junction, where's the SGSSB headquarters. At least the roads were well lit. Then from Paloma, at least they had, all of them had street lights. Then from Paloma, it became dim again, all the way to the Nima police station, where we have the president's private residence. Even that place was not spared. There's no street light on that road. At least there are markings. So it appears that when you have street lights, you may not have road marking. If you have road marking, you may not have street light. And then maybe you have a functioning traffic light. So the drive then took us all the way through to the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. And that place is very notorious for never having street lights functioning. And that's the plus 233 Jazz Bar and Grill. And opposite it, we have the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. That's the only national state broadcaster. And there was no street light in front of that road. And most of the time, people report about accidents and people being knocked down, amongst others. The drive took us all the way then. We drove through GBC, the Ring Road, the Standard Chartered Bank headquarters, through to the Ghana Police Headquarters, so through to the Akwaje interchange. Then we start seeing street lights right in front of the police headquarters, all the way. Then you realize that the traffic light, which is supposed to be right in front of the Ghana Police Headquarters, is non-functioning. And for some time now, I don't know if it's deliberate, but for some time now, it's not been working. Then the drive took us then to the Ghana National Fire Service. The street light working ends right in front of the Ghana National Fire Service. After the police headquarters, the lights in front of the police headquarters, the lights were working. Then you get to the National Fire Service. That traffic light, yes, is functioning, but no street light. All the way to the Dankwa Circle, no street lights, but at least you can see a semblance of some form of road markings there, but no street light. Then we took a turn back onto that road, headed to the seat of government. I would wait for you to see what we found, but I'll talk you through it for our radio audience, for you to have an understanding of what the situation is. Then we are now at Afrikiko. Like I said, we took a turn and then drove up. Whilst we're coming, you realize that the traffic lights are working, the street lights are working, the road markings beautifully, all working at the Afrikiko intersection. At that traffic light, you can see that the traffic light is also working. Then stay with me. Just after the Afrikiko traffic light, one street light right after the traffic light works. But you can see that the Jubilee House starts from right there. I beg your pardon to be saying you can see because I know you're on radio. No street light. All the way just in front of where the marking is that takes you into the seat of government. So the whole wall, the whole stretch of the Jubilee House, no street light works, but the road markings are there. But where just at the traffic light, you see that the street light starts working. I counted about 4 of them that were working on that whole stretch after Afrikiko. Then we took a turn onto the switchback road, the Christ the King Chapel, or the Christ the King Parish. The whole switchback road, there was no traffic light. All you see, the lights you would see on that road is those of the residences, the diplomats who've just lit it up. All the way, I'll tell you all about it at least. From the Ring Road, all the way, we are now on the switchback road in Cantonment. I am itching to know what the situation is, at least on the main 37 road. On the switchback road, Cantonment, many of you would say, okay, it's not a major road, but there are no street lights here. What you see are those in front of some of the diplomats building, amongst others. So all the way from the Cantonment Post Office, what we call the Togo Embassy area, all the way to this side, at least. This is what I'm seeing. You can see, together with myself, Yusuf and Abu, this is what we see. So we are almost at the Christ the King Parish, and still no sign of any street light, but at least we are seeing some road markings on the road. It does appear that you have to pick and choose which one exactly you would want. But we've had to go 10 all the way. We've gone over the Sankara Circle, what we used to call the Sankara Circle, the Akwaje interchange. And you can see the Jubilee House right in front of you, the seat of government. I see the traffic light working here. Road markings are also working, but see, right after the traffic light, I count 1, 2, and 3, and this is after the third traffic light. You realize that the rest of the street lights are not working. So after the third street light that I counted, we are still in front of the Jubilee House, and all these lights are not working. So just 3 street lights right in front of the Jubilee House are working. After that, all the street lights in front of the Jubilee House, even though in front of the Jubilee House is well lit, the rest all the way to the Afrikiko traffic lights. They are not working. They are not working. So this is what we've seen. At least the Afrikiko traffic light is working. Just when you climb, you are coming onto the 37th stretch, which is the Afrikiko. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are the 4 lights that works all the way to the Afrikiko traffic light. After it, you see one light, supposed to be 2 bulbs, but one is working. We are now going all the way onto the ridge, the stretch all the way to the ridge roundabout. We'll take a quick drive. We are feeling like driving tonight to check the situation. So from the Afrikiko traffic lights, the team is still ready to go on a quick drive again to check what the situation is. I'll keep you posted. All street lights are working. Road markings are intact. And that's the situation that we can report, that we are happy about to report. I saw only one street light right before the roundabout. That was not working. That was the only one. But apart from that, all the street lights on that particular stretch were working all the way to where we are now at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. You can see how lit the road is, and that's how most people expect it to be, with proper road markings on the road, all working. And that was our quick drive last night together with the team to paint a proper picture of what the situation actually is. Let me take you to the Accra Tema motorway, one of the most dangerous roads for me, at least. It's always scary to drive on that particular road. My colleague Michael Ashali has done many reports on that particular stretch. He joins us live tonight. Michael, what's the situation there? Well, my colleague Michael Ashali is just a bit of delay there, but you can see him in your shot. He's on standby for us to give us a situation on the ground. I'll also take you to the Ashanti region. My colleague Nanabuache Dankwa is also on standby with a situation in the Ashanti region. What exactly he can report in terms of Ghana's dangerous roads, the non-functional traffic lights, street lights and road markings, the situation on the motorway. Michael Ashali is on standby. Let's head back to him.
We are coming to you live from Committee 18 Junction along the Accra Tema motorway. We are just about halfway. If you are coming from Accra, you are heading towards Tema. This road is seen as one of the most pivotal roads. This particular section of the road leads to our biggest port. Means that all our cocoa and all our major produce that we export out of the country come along this way. So we cannot overemphasize how important it is. But clearly, if a vehicle is not passing back, you see how dark it is. It's nearly impossible to even see through the thickness of the dark. Put off the light, you barely would see me if you see me standing right here. So it's a very difficult situation for them, and that's exactly what you see. Pitch darkness, not just for drivers who are using the road, but for the commuters who have to cross the road as well to head to their various destinations. This is Community 18, not far from here. Some SNIT flats are not far away, so heavily populated. Most of them are in danger every day. Let's go through the list of problems with this Accra Tema motorway. Ever unlike roads that you saw in the capital with what the line, you didn't have that on Tema motorway. I doubt that they've ever been one. You could ride from Accra all the way to the end of it and you won't find a single marking on the road. That is not all. The pothole was riddled with, the Tema motorway was riddled. Just about 7 days ago, we counted 112 potholes on the Accra Tema motorway. An intervention has of those potholes have now been fixed. But there's some concerns why they are using bitumen rather than the original concrete that was used. And finally, the problem with there's not stretch to my motorway. Nearly 50 kilometers of road, not a single street light on it. But for the people who live around, they'll tell us a story briefly about how it impacts them. Michael and my colleague, if you can join me, you stand here for me. Charles is also here. Let me start with you. You live at Ashaiman, yes, right? Yes. How dangerous is it to cross this motorway?
It is very, very alarming and dangerous as well. I think I've been using this road almost about several years now. Motorway going to Adan, Sege, Volta region, and looking at how dangerous it is, very bad. Very bad.
Interesting. Michael, I'll come back to you. Stand here for me. So, you live just around this area, right? You actually operate a motorcycle business right here. I mean, this is one of the hotspots in terms of accidents on the Accra Tema motorway. Tell me about your experience. Have you ever witnessed one before?
Yes, of course. Very bad. We are Okada guys here, and we are working here 24/7. Yeah, because me sometimes I used to close around 2 to 3 in the midnight, which is 2 a.m. Yeah. So what is going on here? There's no street lights, and when the car was coming from Accra to Tema inside, I don't know, because sometimes there's a lot of accidents happen here at the moment, and you yourself, you'll be shocked because of there's no street light. The portals, they just, even when what do you call it, the truck drivers are coming to come across here to drop them and lots of things. You see how this place do and things. Yeah. They are be suffering, and you could see maybe some motor will be coming or then crash the motor, and then so accidents are always happening here most of the time, because just 3 days today I was here like 2 a.m. You see the method that they just do here, from here and then here to the roundabout here. Yeah. I just heard Kikrao. So when I just get to that place, I saw a car just knocked some Okada guy on the motor. It was very bad.
I mean, operate a motorcycle business. Yes. How does that make you feel?
Oh, it's very bad, because when I just saw that, I just quit my work at that very crucial moment.
Isaac, I'll come back to you. Michael, concerned about how they are even patching the pothole. Yes. I mean, at least I would be happy if I were that at least somebody's fixing the motorway.
Yes, for me, I don't know what is really their contractor, but on normal basis, so as you want to fix it, it will be using the same concrete, not using a quota, and even it's not even balanced. It's not balanced. So I don't know. With the light problem, it's very difficult.
Michael, what do you want to be done right now?
Oh, for now, I think for a long term, the road needs to be fixed well. Maybe remove this how do you call it, concrete, and then do an asphalt on it, and then there should be lines. But as at the moment, I think light for the road before maybe they can think of any other thing. Yes.
So you want your next motorway? Isaac, the motorists expect to be.
It is very necessary and important for us, for them to. And the potholes that they just came and then faced is not well faced at all. As you can see, which is the potholes, you see that it's up. It's up than the quota itself, the motorway itself. Because so if you are even or you are on a car, you see that you go straight forward. You understand? Yeah. And it's not well faced. What they have to do for them to do is to face the light and then to do the road work for us, because it's not, and then necessary. The light also is very necessary.
Isaac, I'm grateful. So Isaac and Michael, and these are two people that use the motorway every day. For them, it is tantamount to your life. It's inevitable to move.
And that's my colleague, Michael Ashali there, giving us live updates from the Accra Tema motorway. Unfortunately, the network won't allow us to wrap it up with Michael Ashali reporting live from the Community 18 junction on the Accra Tema motorway. Let me take you now live to the Sewia junction in Kumasi, and my colleague Nanabwachi Dankwayadom is on standby to tell us what the situation is and what he's found so far. Nana, if you can hear me, take it away.
We are live from the Sewia Junction. Where I am is in between the Bosomchi constituency, the constituency of the Education Minister, Dr. Osei Awedutum, and then the Asokwa constituency, the constituency of the Deputy Majority Leader, Mama Pat. Now this place, this road is very dangerous to use at night. We are checking for functional traffic lights and functional street lights and even for road markings. Unfortunately for us, where we are currently, we cannot find a functional traffic light. We cannot find a functional street light. Neither do we find any road marking so far. Now this is a dual carriage, a very huge road here you can see right behind me. And it is very dangerous to ride on this particular road at night because you would have no traffic light to direct your route and you have no street light to even monitor the road in itself. There is no road marking whatsoever. Now, those using this particular road coming from the Asokwa constituency and other areas from my left cannot even see the road in itself clearly because there are no street lights over there. And then there are no traffic lights. Now, if you have to make a curve into the Sewia community in itself, it will be very difficult for you to do that because there are no road markings to show you that you have to pass here or you have to pass here. Now, residents who use this particular stretch tell us almost every time that it is very difficult for them to be using this road at night. Now, it has turned into a hideout for hooligans and then for day drivers and then pedestrians. Instead of them using this particular road at night, they would have to find another way out. And so if it is for you, if it is for an emergency, you realize that it is very, very difficult for you to use the Sewia junction. Now, this particular place is a very busy road, MFA, and you can see that drivers using this stretch do drive recklessly because there are no traffic lights to show you where you have to go. There are no street lights whatsoever. Now, these are people gathered here. When we got here, they realized that what we're about to talk about is very sensitive and they decided to wait for us and join the conversation. It shows you how devastating they are as residents plying this particular route. Now, I have the station master here and I'll be engaging him shortly. But then first, let's look at the road in itself. Now you can see how the drivers are driving. You see, they are driving recklessly because there are no street lights, there are no traffic lights to direct their path. The station master has been here since we came here, and he tells us how difficult it is for him to use this road and for even the drivers who ply this road to even go by their work day in and day out. Pepato, say na kwano isitie driver for mu yusua. How ben pa na mu mohanum say?
Well, the issue is that ahano amoye you know I'm say traffic friend say light street light any hano and this confusion eba no say ebi o hanu say ya enka fa na hanu mo love elections hanu tre so hu this nipa no ofini say ba for instance say bi ofi apoto eja e ba say ya on me chana say sidwom na we no so say de we so ebu ba no so hu and so to me this that confusion about and I check at least enu na watch kra enu na watch accident moto aboboya accident as in so besi bia no emu odin enti yes stress ebenya street lights e wo hanu say so on machine say na ekwan no so no
road markings no
yes ebe ho nti oba no hu say you know how no more
markings no ha
no wa fire dem we hu na say watwa so so on machine say
okay. So MFA, what he's trying to say is that because there are no street lights over here, this Sewia junction where we are currently, it makes it very difficult for drivers who ply this road to use it day in and day out. He says that for a week they can record road accidents, and then almost every week, every 3 days, he says that they do record road accidents from cars, and then those small even for motorbikes.
Motor and and so on, that. And the also most important is the most important is that street lights.
Street lights.
That's street lights.
Okay.
Look,
okay. I can see from
that. Yes. Okay. When they come, that was taught like this in the driver's side. So they can't move. They can't move.
They can't move because there are no lights clearly from that end.
It's a touch them, so they can't move. So as far as how they be driving, quite jobs if anyone go and accident as such.
Okay. So
also complain about that issue.
Okay. So what he's trying to say is that. Because there's no street lights over here, the drivers would have to use their own lights, and then it becomes very difficult for them because their light is not as bright as they would have the street lights, and then use that for the road. And that is what he's trying to tell us. But then I have another driver here with me. I mean, you've been plying the road for quite some time. Now tell me the situation in the Ashanti region, because you use most of these roads.
It's very difficult to drive at night in Ashanti region because most of the streets lights are not working. Most of the traffic light bulbs are dead. In fact, driving in the night when it's raining is very difficult because there are no road markings. That's why sometimes in the morning, if you drive around town, you will see cars have been parked in the gutters. Why? Because there are no road markings, so they cannot see when you are sliding from this road to the gutter. You know, see before you realize you are in the gutter. And you have no option than to leave your car in the gutter till the next day. And probably if you leave your car there, someone will come and take your batteries and some items from your car. So it is very, very, very difficult to drive in Kumasi at night when it's raining. Very, very difficult. So we are telling the road minister to come and do the road markings for us. We will not beg him because we the drivers, we pay our duty. We pay everything. The government takes taxes from us, so we are not going to beg him to come and do it for us. We are telling him to come and fix the thing for us. Otherwise, there's no need for us to be paying the roadworthy and so many things.
In terms, you were talking about how difficult it is to use the road, in fact, for accident's sake. How long have you been using this road, and do you even remember any accident that happened recently? Of
course, was it last 4 days? There was an accident here because there's no street lights, and the most annoying thing is even the pedestrians are suffering because when they are walking on the roadside, before a car throws their light and see the person, they might be very closer to the person. So more times car hits people here. Some will stop and take the pedestrian to the hospital, and some even run away. And you cannot even see their car number because there's no street light here.
You were making a point. You said that there was an accident 4 days ago. Do you remember what led to the accident?
Yeah, because there's no traffic light here at this junction. So if the cars are coming from the Bosomchi Road, they speed up because of there's no traffic light. So they will just speed, and if they are crossing the road to say what, they will come. And before you realize, accident has already happened.
Okay, I'll get back to you. Thank you so much. And so, MFA, you heard him clearly say that in the absence of a traffic light and then a street light, even with no road markings whatsoever, accidents do happen on the Sewua Junction frequently, and it becomes very difficult for even pedestrians to use the road because for drivers coming from a Putoja, if a pedestrian is using this particular stretch, for them to even throw their light to see that somebody is by the roadside, it will be very close to them. And you can see what nearly just happened here. The driver did not even see that I am standing here. I am not even closer to the road yet, but there should have been a road marking directing him to enter into the Sewua community. But because there's nothing of that sort, he had to just come closer to me, get very, very close to me. I want to engage this gentleman here. Uyusu ahanum se wote hanum bebia adie sase ya enema mu tisen wo Sewua Junction ha.
Already no me yankasa me commercial driver me nam kwanwe so day in and day out nti a kwanwe using no very difficult edru anwumra because traffic lights na any kwan so no and road marks na any kwan so nintinema kwan use na ye very because say edru anwumra on say cars no obi an how and light na brightness no etie obi kwan pobetimi de highlight and down kwan so no say street light no so kwan so a so light system no cry poor cry na wutimi ekọ so far no say what do car out maybe ade son kakra na so nya light problem because say street light be any kwan so so jaka no ho na okọ now at the same time no this particular junction so no
okay
aha ehu kakra say because it's small kwan so nti say if ujina other side ne say wo peka na ujina wo che aka na nkwa na ujina ho abo estimi be ebe attack wo je ho ne ma because say ho na esum say we free like this side na ye wo no now call ekwan side wo no na because say ho yesum nti say nkwa ujina wo say wo peka na ujina wo che kakra on say wo hwe akire say na ho nyina ye ngura we bet imagine
mesa ba honum ne mom no me pese me chere viewers no said e honum esi eyesum no so while I'm narrating what he's trying to say, he says that because the place is very, very dark, there are thieves inside there who attack the residents, who attack them. Now, where we are is quite safe because you get to see policemen around this place. But then if you get back here, it is very difficult for you to use this particular street. Now, I want you to see clearly how dark the place is. Now, this is the Sewua Junction. If you're coming from Eputuoja, which is in the constituency of the Education Minister, you can see that there is no street lights, there are no road markings, and there is no traffic lights. Now, on my left, when you're coming from Asokwa in Shire, so you can see how dark the place is as well. Now, this is the situation in the Ashanti region. It is not surprising that we lead in road traffic accidents. It is very, very devastating for road users, drivers, pedestrians, all of us. It is difficult for us to ply the road. Over to you, MFR.
And that's Nana Boachi Dankwa giving us a situation at the Sewua Junction. Also, you heard those residents also giving us a situation, at least painting a picture for us of what they have witnessed on some of the prime roads in the Ashanti region. And thankfully, Dr. William Aka with the Building and Road Research Institute is with us via Zoom. Also, Kwame Kudia Etuahene also with us. Dr. Aka, at least you've been listening to my colleagues. Also, you saw my drive through some principal streets of Accra. What really is the difficulty or the challenge in either getting our road markings, our street lights, and our traffic lights working?
Thank you very much, MFR. This is an unfortunate situation. We all drive around. This is the daily experience which all of us are experiencing. It's unfortunate that we have all the institutions, we have all the laws, we've come up with the strategies to help reduce accidents in the country, but the basic things we need to put in place, we don't take them seriously. It's unfortunate that you will construct a road which costs millions of cedis. Putting in these measures, putting in this furniture constitutes less than 10% of the cost of the total reconstruction. But we are able to produce the pavement, drivers are able to access it, not safe, it kills people, but we sit down unconcerned. For traffic lights, for instance, if I should talk about Accra, I know they have a traffic management center, which is supposed to also monitor the faults of traffic lights. And so the Department of Urban Roads are aware. What I'm also aware is that they subcontract the maintenance of the traffic lights to some companies. We have to ask whether government has been paying these companies. We all know the problems in the road industry. A lot of contractors are being owned by governments. And so we have to ask whether the non-maintenance of these traffic lights are as a result of the non-payment of the contractors. In all, I think that we've not taken safety seriously. if we should take the street lights, for instance, as they mentioned, at night, when crashes occur, the probability of people to die, we've established that is higher as compared to nighttime when there is traffic lights or during the daytime. It's an unfortunate situation we are experiencing, but that's how we found it. As a nation, I don't think we have safety as part of our culture. We sitting down, people are dying unconcerned, and we doing nothing about that.
Is it the case that when the road contract is given, for instance, the furniture you talk about, the street light, the markings and all, is it not a component? Does it not all come together as part of the contract, even though we may say that they may not have been paid, but at least they get paid at some point? But really, is it not a component? Does it not all come together?
Yes, it's a component. As I mentioned, the cost of this is less than 10% of the total project sum, right? But we're able to do the main road construction and then leave the little things, the basic things we have to put in place to make sure that motorists are able to travel on the road without crashes. As I mentioned, we don't have safety as part of our culture. What we need is accessibility for people to move around, and then we relegate safety to the background.
Let me bring in Mr. Korea, Kwame Korea-Tuahene. At least he's been doing this for the longest. He's Director of Regulations and Inspections at the National Road Safety Authority. Mr. Korea, we've been painting the picture to people about the situation. We've also been gleaning from the data that you've put out in terms of the road crashes, the deaths. It appears that we just put out the numbers, and it's like the deaths that we've seen and the crashes that are recorded. Does anybody take it seriously at all the data that you put out and the work you do at the National Road Safety Authority? Please tell me somebody takes it serious.
Subject and this over, but to say that you need to be commended for bringing this matter to the front space. I mean, oftentimes we got to discuss these issues post-major incidents, and the fact that you have taken the time to bring it up for discussion is something that the authority acknowledges, and would wish to commend you for that. I think that all the issues you have highlighted over the evening are quite accurate. I mean, these are reports that come to us quite regularly, and we try to engage as many of these relevant stakeholders as possible to be able to find some solutions around it. To the question you asked, I should say yes. The last time we did the audit of the traffic lights, we gave the urban roads some 60 days to come back to us, which they did, reporting on the interventions that they had taken and the fact that the outstanding matters had been awarded for contract. To be honest with you, we saw some improvement at the time, but we are beginning to receive these complaints again. It is our intention to conduct some audits just to confirm where the issues are, in order that we can engage them further. Going forward, we take the view that it may be difficult to address all these infractions at a go, but it is also possible for us to work very closely with the agencies that have the frontline responsibility in order to prioritize the ones that we think feed into the data. So if you look at Accra, for instance, the motorway is quite a challenging stretch.
Yes.
I mean, for all the difficulties and intensity of traffic activity, it's quite frustrating that at night you have the entire stretch without much visibility. As we always say, visibility goes to the root of what we do as far as safety management is concerned. If the lights are down, the roads are very dark, it makes it very difficult for road users to communicate with the road. And these are factual issues. And so when the data begin to speak to the effect of these difficulties. There's very little anybody could do except for improving the situation. What we have done, actually, without having to deal directly with the issues, I mean, these are concerns that falls directly on the laps of stakeholder institutions. So you are talking about the Department of Urban Roads, the Highways, Ghana Highways Authority. They have frontline responsibility for the road infrastructure. On matters of street lights, I think in the past there's been an ongoing conversation to try to identify which agency has direct responsibility. To the best of my recollection, it sits with the Ministry of Energy. Because I mean the part of our electricity bills that go to service the street lights come through the ECG to the Ministry of Energy. And it must have been a year or two when we engaged them under some MEDA program they are taking to improve visibility in some parts of the country. In some parts of Greater Accra, the feedback we got at the time was that the portion of our electricity bills that go to service that part of their job appears to be woefully inadequate. But again, I mean, if we can work together as stakeholders, we may not be able to solve all the visibility issues at a go, but we should be able to influence the decision based on data. Get to understand where the issues are happening and what sort of short-term interventions could be put in place.
It does appear, Mr. Kodia, that it's like some form of negotiation and people massaging each other and egos being massaged at some point, but really people are dying on these roads. What will be the drastic change that will happen? What will change?
I'm as frustrated as you are when our colleagues, for instance, the road sector agents, there's a lot that is happening in that space. In fact, at the beginning of the year, we had some engagement with them, and our expectation is that they should be able to stand up to these concerns and probably express the plans that are being taken on that space. In fact, last week, the Minister of Roads and Highways launched what the ministry calls the Maintain My Road app. I have downloaded it, and for the first time.
Is that what we need at this point? Is that what we need at this point? Which road is really working such that we would have to be reporting bad roads? Do they not know that the roads are bad?
Well, on the assumption that portions of them get bad over time, and especially the traffic lights, which may turn off momentarily. Once we get to have this data, we could also influence them to be able to respond to these matters that come up as frequently as they do. But on the other side, I think the secondary level of intervention, which we are able to influence to a greater extent, is for these vehicles that are used for commercial road transport purposes, for goods carrying and passenger, to be able to improve upon their visibility. So you notice that over the time that a certain reflective tape that are filed around these vehicles, and through our routine audits and pre-departure inspections at major terminals, at least for those that relate to commercial vehicles and vehicles that belong to institutions, we are able to ensure that that minimum safety requirement is deployed on the vehicles to be able to improve upon their visibility at night. Okay. But otherwise, I would want to agree that as far as the visibility in our urbanized environments are concerned, we need to be very calculative in trying to improve upon the situation.
Okay.
If you look at the numbers again, which you spoke to, and my colleague Dr. Akar may help because they work very closely with these numbers. Within the urbanized environments, it is not out of anything that you have high incidence of pedestrian issues.
Yeah.
And if we can work to improve upon these situations in the urban environments, improving upon the line markings, the traffic lights, as much as the street lights. We may begin to account for some positive numbers in that.
Let me bring in Dr. Aka briefly as we wrap up. I'll go back to my colleague to wrap it all up for us on the Tema Motorway. But Dr. Aka, because really, speaking of this app, for instance, that we talk about, we have ministries. It turns out the energy ministry also part of all this. Ministries, we have departments and agencies who are supposed to be having monitoring and evaluation departments. We are paying them for this. Now we are paying additionally to bring in an app. Now I have to go and report that this is the situation. Really, who is prioritizing my safety?
So I think the road agencies have a responsibility, a big one. You cannot construct a road, install street lights, and then expect some other agency to maintain it. I mean, whatever happens on the road should be your responsibility. And so I think that they should have a budget line of making sure that the road agencies, Department of Urban Roads, Ghana Highway Authority, and then the Department of Feeder Roads should make sure that they take an interest in making sure the roads are lit to make it safe for everybody. You don't build a road, install street lights, and then expect some other agency to maintain it for you.
Okay. Well, I would like to really thank you, gentlemen, for always being on hand to be with us when we talk about road safety and its concerns. Hopefully, we will talk about this again until we see a change in the situation. I would like to hand over the microphone now back to my colleague. At least you should give us the situation on the ground. It's about the scariest road when you talked about roads in Accra. Michael Papani Ashale, hopefully I have a stable connection to him. Michael, wrap us up on what you're seeing there.
Specifically, a brand new road that was, the sod was cut just a few weeks ago, months ago actually, just before the African Games that Ghana hosted. This road from Community 18 goes all the way to Ashaleboche to Ajingano School Junction. So a relatively very brand new road. Unfortunately, drivers have to drive in pitch darkness every night. No street light, no functional street light is on this particular stretch. Well, if you are lucky, you will find the posts, but the lights are not working. Apart from that, everything as a brand new road is there. The road markings are there. The reflectors on the road are there. But drivers have to drive on the same stretch. So this is a 4-lane road ordinarily, and if it was used accordingly, there were 2 drivers heading towards Ajingano and 2 drivers from Ajingano coming to Community 18. But that's not the situation. Both drivers on both lanes have to use the same stretch, 2 lanes. So whilst this driver, as you see, he is going, there's a likelihood that the driver coming from Ajingano will be on the same stretch, and without street lights, it's impossible to see the bend that you are going to be taking in the next few minutes. Well, for those that live here, they complain about the rampant theft situation that they have to deal with. And sometimes livestock crossing this particular road here. You have a lot of sheep, goat, cattle crossing. And for drivers, if you don't see this early in the nick of time, you may not be able to stop. Your only option will be to hit that particular livestock. So pitch darkness.
Well, that's Michael Ashale, and you can trust that our road safety campaign is on, and we'll be focusing on your safety and my safety as well, because your safety is my safety, and the team here will continue to prioritize that. And from my colleagues, Michael Ashale, and of course, Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom, and the entire production team, we're grateful for your time here. Stay safe, some way, somehow, even though it is dark on the streets. I am Emefa Apau. A Walk with Jesus is up next for our radio audience. Right here, we have Showbiz with Sarah Ajele Joseph. Please do stay. Have a good evening.